So in today class, we are going to start our React, the basic of React, right? So all of you, right? I mean, who has like even React idea, right? We have done that before, but who remember like what is React and how it work, right? Anyone? You
Give
yeah,
isn't React a front-end framework?
yes, that is front in JavaScript front end framework, right? Or we call it a library, not framework, but library, because framework is a Next.js, because framework has a lot of things built inside already, like back in, front in, you know. So when something is complete package, right, then we call framework. The React is just a library because it only does is like create front end component, right? Now when you have to deal with the backend, then you need Express, right? So still library. That's okay. I mean, that's correct, right? So anyone has used React before? Ruxar, you have used React, right? It's same like a Next.js. So same thing. Next.js is just the like full package of React, right? React is incomplete in itself, so they use the React and make it like library, framework, right? With adding the backend, server side rendering, client side rendering, static side rendering. Then uh, when you have server side rendering, then you can build API there and you can do all kind of things, right? You don't have to create separate Express, API. Sorry, the server, right? Okay, I'll just saw some noise outside. Anyway, sorry guys. So let's continue with our work, right? So first we'll look at the simple definition, right? What is React? JavaScript library to build dynamic and interactive, right? User interface. So when we say user interface, that is the front end, right? Dynamic. What is dynamic? And interactive means, dynamic means data can change, right? Uh, oh, let's see. So that word has its meaning, okay? When we call it dynamic, data can change. So just imagine, right? We are creating some simple front end, okay? Let's say this is a page, right? And in the page, you have the header section. So this is one component, header, right? It might have some different component inside, like this is a separate component. We will talk about the component, right, just now, but just imagine that. So header is a parent component and with two child component, right? You might have the main section, the component, maybe inside here a lot of component also, right? Then you have maybe footer section. This is also separate component, right? So in the main section, now there is a button. Somebody click that. When you click the button, right, something change here, okay? Something appears or something happen, right? So interaction, clicking the button is interacting, right? And updating the data here is dynamic. This page don't reload, okay? Only the information, whatever information we change, right, will appear or disappear. That is called dynamic, okay? So you can see the page here, but only information within that section is whatever we are trying to change, right, will change, okay? So that is dynamic. Dynamic means something can be changed, right? So if you go to the React page, let's go to the React. So this is the new one, right? React.dev. Click on that here. Even if you look at this one, we have this header section. So kind of a, this is the header section, right? See, this is the header section. It may have many component inside. So this is the main component. There is a search bar component. This is the logo component you can create. You can create this link component here, right, and all that. Then the thing what is changing is inside here, right? So this is a block. Let's say the main section keep changing all the time. Okay. You can have this footer section and all that, right? Footer section. So when you click, let's look at, let me remove this. So let's just look at this page, right? And click on here in the blog. Okay. See, when I click in the blog, right? Only information, whatever in the blog appear. Okay. If I click read more, everything will not change, right? Look at here. Still, this is there. Still, the whole thing is still without refreshing. It did not change. Okay. Only the content, whatever content, right? Whatever large size content, that's only change. Okay. The rest will be still in the same position, right? Maybe the content is big, but the amount of content it will change, right? But something like footer sections and all that will be always there. Okay. So even if let's click here, right? See the blog, you get this. Still loading, right? I don't know if it's still loading. Okay. Okay. Now finally I can see now. Anyway, so the benefit of React is that it is dynamic site, right? Dynamic. Okay. Only the informations what has to be changed, right? Or whatever route we call, that information will display, but the header, footer, and other stuff will be stayed there, right? Just understand like that. Simple enough. Okay. So for now, let me click here and learn React, and then later I will ask you guys to just read through here, right? Installation is there, learn React, and basically this part, right? Okay. Describe UI. Okay. So for now, we're not going to do that. Let's continue with our document here. So developed in 2011 by Facebook and still maintained by Facebook, right? Most widely used JS library for front-end development, and used to create single page application, right? SPA, single page application. Means you have this one page there, right? And the information just change inside. Okay. So when we install the React, you will see, right, why the whole component pass to one page only. Okay. One page, right? And how it happens. I'll show you that. Working off a DOM, right? Remember in HTML, so how DOM is created, right? Browser takes HTML and create DOM. We know that one. Okay. When we load the HTML, right, in our browser, the DOM is created. Simple enough. JS help us modify, right? So JavaScript help us modify DOM based on user action or event, right? See, JavaScript help us. So we use JavaScript to modify DOM based on any action or event, right? In big application, working with DOM become very complicated. So when your application is big, right, and maybe you are just using JavaScript to create dynamic site, trust me, the code will be so much complex, right? You have to write so many things, okay, to get simple things done. So it goes out of control, right? So that's why it's always recommend, and only who can write all that code, right? If someone is very genius, like a lot 10-20 year of working experience in JavaScript, who knows all in and outs, right, who can create things perfectly with JavaScript, like that person can can use the JavaScript to do all kind of things, but still it's hard to maintain. If some other people has to go back and maintain something, it will be difficult, right? A lot of work. Okay, so to simplify that work, like change the DOM easily without reloading your page, right? The concept of React came in. Okay, the problem with JavaScript, okay, React is simple to maintain. It is component based architecture, right, which simplifies the development process. Simple enough. Okay, component means what? Remember, we just look at the header, main section, footer. Each function, right? Component is a function, so each section is a separate entities. They are not related to each other. Okay, so you build a small piece of component separately and use it everywhere you need. That's the goal here, right? So, and also React simplifies the development process. For now, just remember that. with JavaScript what? While plain JavaScript can certainly be used for web development, it often requires more boilerplate code to achieve the same functionality, right? Basically, you have to write a lot of code to achieve the same functionality and performance that React provides out of the box. Okay, so JavaScript cannot provide, right, the functionality what we get React out of the box. Managing state, like for example, let's say managing state, basically managing variable, right? Rendering updates. When the variable change, you want to update the UI also, your component UI, right? So you cannot do all that easily with JavaScript. If you load something or you update JavaScript, right, the whole page re-renders because JavaScript does not have concept of virtual DOM. So how React does all that, right, behind the scene? Even React is JavaScript, same like JavaScript, right? So, like to do all this work efficient, let's say, and ensuring efficient, right, DOM manipulation can be more challenging and error prone, right, with the plain JavaScript. Okay. So what React does, right? React has something called virtual DOM. We know the DOM, right? Java's HTML loaded in browser. The browser creates a DOM like tree-like structure, right? You have the body, head, and the how you have packed your HTML, right? The structure is created in the browser. So now JavaScript is used for update that DOM, right? But what React does is React make copy of that one in its engine, right? That is called virtual DOM. It's just a DOM but copy of the main DOM, right? So when we make any change, let's say you update the state. State is what? The variable, right? In the React. So when you make a change to your state, so React has the functionality, right, to re-update. Basically, it will compare every time there is some changes, right, in the variables or in the data. It will compare with the real DOM and it will figure out what to change in the real DOM, right? So that portion will be only injected in the real DOM and everything is there already. I mean, whole page is there, right, already. Only the code updates push to the real DOM and that code will be appear, right? That code will be only appear because you have whole thing already in the browser, right? Just few things will be appear there. So that the speed is there, right? That means, there is a lot of speed. I mean, if you don't have to load a lot of data, let's say you're fetching a lot of data from outside, right? And then for simple updates, if you have to go back and fetch all again, I mean, that is terrible. So that's why there is a concept called virtual DOM, which helps to update only the change part, right? That is all. So that's how the React work. Okay, so basically installation, right? We have simple installation here. How you can install React using Vite. If you go to the Vite, right, website, you will find like get started. Again, Vite is what? Vite is the like package manager, right? Vite is like a, let's say, store to install different kind of React libraries, right? Or different software. Okay. Vite provides some functionality to compile your software, make ready for the development. It gives you like ready-made package, right? It's very fast to load all that things. Okay. It makes easy to install React also. I think there is a lot of functionality in Vite, but for now we're just going to use to install our React. Okay. So when you click get started, right? Let's see. Okay. So let's look at here. The supported templates present are, right, in the Vite. What are the things supported? Vanilla JavaScript, TypeScript JavaScript, right? Vue is also there. React is there. This is what we're going to use, right? React, okay? Lit, Servlet or Solid, and Quick. These all are, I think, the React libraries, okay? Made from the React, right? And Vue is similar to React also. So I have not looked at Solid. I believe that is also React. I mean, these all are React, trust me, something to do with the JavaScript, right? vanilla is JavaScript, that is what we learned, right? Vanilla JavaScript is basic JavaScript, then you have TypeScript there. Okay, so you just copy this and install the React, right? So what we will do is first we install the React, and then we're gonna move to our next part here, like what is components, right? Class components, key concept in of the React, right? What is JSX, what is props, what is state, functional components with hooks. So up to this point we'll look at, right? Simple, the basic concept. Okay, so let's install that. I will just copy this, and I have the folder ready right here. So I'm installing the React in this one-reactjs, right? So what I will do, I'm just gonna right click, and because I'm installing in the same folder now, right? You just open the folder where you want to install. In your case, right, you're gonna create the project. Oh, okay, so this is just a learning, right? But when you work with a project, you're gonna create in Visual Studio, in the GitHub, clone that, and in that project, right, you're gonna install. So dot slash, that means install in the current directory. This is my current directory, right? Current folder, and then enter. Let's see what it's saying, right? So I have not installed React in this one. This is the first time installing in my new computer, right? So create vit, it is asking to install this create vit 5.3.0, right? So yes, and enter. And then I will choose what package I want, right? I want to React. So I'll just up down arrow key you can use and enter, right? React, enter. And what you want now, right? Plain JavaScript, like JavaScript, or maybe TypeScript. So let's install with TypeScript, right? Okay, install, done, already finished, right? So see, the only thing is it gives you the package ready, right? Like it has the, like how you clone from your GitHub, right? There you don't have the node module yet. Okay, right now look at here, you don't have node module, right? So it says run this command npm install, and then you can run npm run development, right, to run the development server, correct? So look at the folder structure. You have public folder where you can add maybe some images or maybe css files, something like that, right? Anything from outsource, like something image or something like that you can put here, right? Source folder, so source is the directory, right, where all our working information is there, right? All our softwares, or basically all our files will be in the source folder where we're going to work. Call it a working folder. Source is the working folder, right? So already ESLint installed, git ignore is there already. Now the thing is index.html. So remember what I said, right? In here, in our React, you will be creating a lot of pages, home page, about page, contact page, product page, whatever page you're going to create, right? You're going to create. Does not matter what you create here, right? All your page will be go inside here only to in one index HTML. That's it. Single page, right? Single page application, one HTML. So how it work now, right? So in this HTML page, there is simple div with ID of root. Look at here. That's it. So if I ask you, right, how you can insert some document here, like any page or whatever document, how you can add to this? Let's say you know JavaScript. How you gonna add something here? Anyone? You want to insert some document, right? Or page, HTML document, something from JavaScript. How we can do that? Anyone? Ruksar, you can answer, you know that. Farida, you want to answer? How we can add, right? How we can add here something like any HTML document, how you can insert to this div. Okay, I will continue, right? Continue. Okay, guys. So let's continue.
Yes, can't you append child?
Yeah, so you have to first you have to read this, right? You have to document.get element by ID, that is root, and then in that document you're gonna insert, right? Not append, yeah, basically append child, right? Because you're gonna add like node, okay? If there is just text, you can do inner text, but append child will be, or append will be adding the node, right? So the my point here is to all of you understand, right? This is the only div where whole website will be added inside, okay? So now the question is where, how, right? Okay, so before we move to that working directory source folder, right, let's talk about these things quickly. So there is a package.json. So in the package.json, this is basically the information about our software, right? Our application, okay? All the software installed. So here one dash name is one dash reactjs, the project name. Type is module, right? Fine. Script, look at the script. In the script is like how you gonna run this command, right? Like how you gonna run the lint, or how you gonna build your software. Like once you complete the development, right, you're gonna say npm run build, and it will compile the whole your package and make it ready for hosting, right, or deployment. Okay, but for development we say npm run dev, right? That is development, so it will just run vit. Clear? Now dependency is the needed package software everywhere, right? This whole software is depend on this dependency software, okay? React DOM, right? But dev dependency means you only gonna need during the development time, like TypeScript, React, TypeScript, whatever DOM, all these things you just need during the development to make the development process quick, help you lint, or in like find the box, whatever, right? Linting things you can do with during the development. When everything is okay, right, you just compile and deploy for the hosting, right? So this is dev dependency is something you just need during the development. Remember that. So anything, remember why we did like d dash, so that you can add that package inside here. Sometimes we just put in the dev dependency. The reason is we not gonna need that during the deployment, because the whole work is depends on React DOM, right? Or maybe there will be other, like if you want to have a backend, you're gonna have Express, but this is a front end, right? So Express is gonna have separate folder. You're not gonna put Express here in this package, right? That will be in the separate backend folder. Okay, so just remember that, which is necessary for the running this application, or something just needed during the development. So that's why you have two different properties, dev and the dependency, right? Okay, so let's continue. So you have okay, index package readme file. You can just change this all and put it according to your need, right? So React TypeScript, learning, something like that, right? I mean, you're gonna add like who is the author of this project, how you're gonna set up or copy the clone from the GitHubs, things like that, right? What are the different packages you have used, why you have created this application, what is the purpose, right? What is the motive behind this, something like that you can put here. The live version of the link, right? When you host, there will be live link you can add, so that somebody go to your GitHub, right, and open the readme file. they can click on the live link and see, oh, okay, nice, looks nice, the UI is looking good, let me look at the code and all that. Correct? So these are just some ts config, because we have TypeScript, right? These are just some ts config things, config file, vit config, and then this is our basically what we have in our React folder, right? React 2. Okay, this is different. Close that. So now the question is index. We have one div, and we have learned in React document.getElement by ID root, and then we're going to insert the whatever document, right? So where that is happening, let's go back. Just remember this index, right? And then you go back inside the source folder. Index now, index, there is index, there is CSS. Okay, so there is main, right? Main TypeScript or main file. Okay, just look at this tsx, right? So why it is giving error? Fine, I mean, so just look at here, right? Main tsx has importing app. Okay, look at this. You just import app, right, from app tsx. So this is okay, you just import the component app, but let's now go to the app, right? So we are getting some error, right? I don't know why is that. Oh, because we have not installed. Remember that we need to do that install part, right? Npm install first. Okay, let's do that one, and then I'm going to explain npm. So once you like install the React, first thing is npm install, because this just give you the boilerplate. It has not node module added yet, right? So that is what we're gonna do here. Because it's looking for that package, right, which it cannot find. The only node module contains all these packages. Okay, whatever we have here is only gonna be available in the node modules. And how this npm install work, right? When you do npm install, it will look inside the package.json and look for all this software like React. Oh, this version, let me install that. React DOM, oh, that one, let me install that. TypeScript, something this. Okay, install everything, right? Fine, everything install, and that is stored in the node module. Modules is what packages, right? Node modules. Okay, install here. So you're gonna see a lot of code here, right? You're gonna find somewhere React also, MNOPQR, right? React DOM, React. Look at this. See, so this has the complete software, right, which makes to run our development, whatever we're writing, right? Fine. So now if we go back to the source and then main, looks fine. Look at here. So the main, inside the main, right, inside the main, what you have to look at is React DOM. React DOM. See, React also has DOM. Remember I told you, right, there is a virtual DOM. So how it read our DOM, right? React DOM dot create root. So it reads its DOM, and when you go inside the React DOM now, right, there it will find document dot get element by ID root, right? If that is true, then you render, right? Render dot render what? This app. So we had like a append, right? Before we had append, but here, I mean, you can see something different. But the point is here, how you can use JavaScript to get the DOM, document.get element by ID and root, right? This may be something new. You can, does not matter, but then you render the app, right? That's it. This is something strict mode, so that you have to, your JavaScript will be strictly checked, right? Because we are using TypeScript also. So it helps to debug or basically write clean code. That is all. Okay, so look at this app. Now we have to understand what is this app, right? So go to the app now, and inside the app there is some code now, right? App is just a function. Okay, and here you can see lot of code. So what I will do, I'm just going to clean now, right? Let's clean this one, okay? Or I'm just going to delete everything, right? So how we create a component? React arrow function, create export, right? Like that. And because this name is app.tsx, the capital, that's why you give your component name, right, with the capital A starting capital letter, right, so that it will automatically take that name, file name, right? That's it. So we have this, learning React, right? Simple enough and done. You don't need this one, delete that, right? No need. Save. So let's run the code now, right? We have this app. So the point is, this is the entry point, okay? This is the entry point to the main, right? You import app here. This is your global CSS. So now just imagine you're gonna build maybe contact page, home page, whatever, right? 100 of different pages. All has to go inside here, okay? All has to pass through here, right? So we will look at how we're gonna navigate through different pages, all that in maybe tomorrow class when we learn the React router DOM, right? But just imagine everything has to pass through here now. That is simple. You have to understand. Assets is used for storing the asset, right? Like any images you can put in the public, but also we have asset folder, so you can add in the asset, right? Does not matter. CSS files and all that you can add. Even we have CSS directly in the source folder, that is app CSS. So the thing is, if you have app file, right, you can create app CSS only for that individual app. We have global index CSS, that will be global, right? Okay, now let's run the code, right? So let's do that. So what is that? npm run dev, right? And it runs in 5173 port, okay, localhost 5137. So I will click that and learning React, look at that. So it's in the center, right? Because we have some styling here in the app dots, not app, right? Let me delete app CSS. We don't need that for now. I'll just delete that. Okay. The only thing is the global CSS, which is here. Okay. So what you can do is, see the body has like flex, display flex, place item center and all that, right? That's why. So if you just delete all this, even A, and just delete all that, you don't need. Okay. Fine. So let's check now. So you can see this is basically this is the page, right? What we get. All right. So let me put it side by side and then quickly we're going to talk about the remaining part of our today work. So what we have learned, we understand how the React folder looks like. We understand different part of the React folders, Also we understand how React, like deliver the content, right? From app to the main, and the main will go to the index HTML, right? Basically main is just linking to this div, and whatever content is here inside the main, that is app, right, will be displayed. So it's our goal now to add everything through the app now. If you have 10 pages, that all go here in the app, okay? So we'll see how we can do that, right? But before that, let's start with and this is the component, okay? So next thing is, what is component now? Let's understand. Okay, so DOM, that is done. What is component, right? A React component is a fundamental building block in a React application, okay? everything in React is component. You cannot write a single thing, right, without component. Okay, you have to, I mean, you can just put, does not matter, right? This is JavaScript file, you know, same like JavaScript. You can select element, right? Element equal to maybe something you can put here, you know. No need string, because here you cannot put string. So a tag like that, right? And put here contact. Something you can add, right? So what is this element now? It's complaining. Element is assign a value but never use, right? That is okay. Okay, so you know, this is a node, right? But anyway, so see, you can store HTML in the variable like that. Okay, you can write that, does not matter, right? You can store any value here, any data also, right? You can store that. You can store string also, you know. You can store, same like JavaScript, right? You can put null, or you can put undefined. Okay, you can put array, right? You can just store the array here with a lot of value inside, correct? Or you can add object. So it's up to you what you want to add, right? You can add that. This is a function. We know this is a simple function, and function export default app. So this function is exporting as a default, right? And you can import. So the point is, what is component? Component is just a JavaScript function, but they return, this is important, okay? When we say component, right, they return React element that describes what should appear on the screen. So the React element is something, the HTML, right, it will return. That is a React element. Okay, and this HTML describes what it should look in the web page, right? So right now we have just this one. So what I will do now, right, let's add something here, h1, right? This is heading. See, now we get error, right? Now what is this error? Like we added div and then s1, right? So remember, we are trying to return two things from the function, and it does not allow. Okay, function just return one thing, right? So that's why when you have something like that, you always wrap in the bracket. Okay, put another div and put all the remaining inside, right? So you have to group things together. Okay, save, and learning React, and this is heading, right? Look at that. Fine. So React can only return one element. This, you are just returning div, right? Even though it has child, does not matter. For React, you are returning div. That's it. Inside what you put is your job, right? So you just have to remember, React only return one element. Okay, and the component always return HTML. Okay, so let's say you don't want to add any element, right? You can just you know, keep it empty like this. This is called React fragment. And just give me a second, guys, there is some distraction. So you know, this is a React fragment, right? Sometimes we don't need div. If you are not using div for the any like you know, like any style or wrapper box, right, then you can just use the fragment. This also represents single element. Okay, so we understand component. Component is JavaScript function, and it returns the HTML, which represents the UI of our website, right? That's it. That is all is component. When you write a component, start with capital letter. Okay, capital. The name of the component start with capital letter, and then you can export that, right? Export default. Okay, so that was the component. There is two types of component: functional component and class component, right? So this is functional component. Okay, in the class component, basically it is the extended version of component, right? So you're going to create component something like this in the class component, right? How you create component? Let's add one file here. Let's call it maybe what, right? Greeting, right? That file, source file, we call it greeting.tsx, like that. And first you have to import React, right? So I'll just copy this for now. You're not going to use what do you call that? You're not going to use class component anymore. Mostly not used now, right? We just use functional component. Before, in the beginning, class component was popular. Why? Because the reason is there was no way to handle the state, right? In the function component, there was we didn't have the functionality, right? Like the concept of hooks. What is hooks now? The hooks are the functions which help us to manage our functional component, like variables, or deal with the DOM, or pass the data from one component to another, right? Things like that. Okay, we did not have that kind of function before for the React functional component. So in the class component, right here, we can, this is the class of the JavaScript, or the object oriented programming, right? Function for object oriented. So you can create your own things here, a lot of things, right? But it becomes so difficult to maintain. Okay, so they come up with the functional component and just create different hooks to deal with all that problem, right? So now this become obsolete, not obsolete, but just not used, right? So here, look at this. You have to import component, basically get component from React, right? And the class greeting, that is the name of our component. Extend component. Okay, so the class already have something, right, inside the component. You just extending that. Basically you get all the functionality of component inside the greeting now. So this become new component, right? And then you render like this. Before was what, return, right? Return. So in the class component you render. Okay, you just run the render function and the curly bracket. Just look at this. This render is a function. Okay, how you execute function, React node, but for now let's keep it simple. Yeah, like that. Okay, so next is like you passing the props here, right? Basically you passing the props, this dot props dot name, and then you export, right? So we're going to talk about props later, but you export this greeting. So you can import this somewhere, right? You can just let's say you're going to import this one in one of your component here. You can import, right? For example, let's go back like this. Import greeting, right? Like that. And it's complaining because there is some like greeting declare versus value never read, right? So here now you can just call that component. Okay, like that. Save, right? And see what we get. So you say hello here, right? Hello, and then we have not passed the props right now, so there is a issue, right? But you can pass props. Okay, how you can pass the props, we're gonna talk that later, but for now go back here and then say name equal to save, right? And save, and see that it just changed this part. Okay, just change this, right? So I will delete this for now. Let's not talk about that class component. I just show you there is something called class component also, but we don't use. We stick to the functional component, which is React function, right? Normal function, or you can write the arrow function. Okay, same thing. Fine. So the next thing is, what is the next thing? The key concept of React component, right? So we know the component will be the function. You can write the function and return the HTML, right? Component is a function. You can return HTML. That is component. Okay. So because how we can write this HTML in JavaScript, a concept called JavaScript XML, right? So there is something called JavaScript XML which allows to write HTML inside JavaScript. Okay, that is all. Okay, you have to remember that part, right? So because of XML, so React using JavaScript XML, right? So JSX is a syntax extension that allow writing HTML like code within the JavaScript. Just remember that. Okay, in the React we can write HTML directly inside the JavaScript file. Simple enough. That is JSX. So what is JSX? If somebody asks you, then you can call it JSX is the extension of JavaScript or JavaScript XML. Because of JSX, like it's a definition here, it's a syntax extension, right? And because of JSX, we are allowed to write HTML code in the JavaScript. That is all. What is props? So who remember a tag, right? What is this? Attribute, right? And you're going to pass some value here, something like a HTTP, something like that. So this is attribute. Okay, so the component, what happened, right? Component is simple HTML for JavaScript. So for example, I will just copy this, right, like that, and I'm just gonna put it here somewhere, or maybe on the top, same page also, right? Look at this. So delete that for now. So I just have the function greeting, right? And inside there is a props. So props, just remember something like this, just simple, right? Attribute, if you remember attribute, the component of the JavaScript is, React is HTML like document. How you going to use this component, right? So I will just go, I'm not exporting this right now. I have this simple function here. It's okay because I'm going to use only here, right? So I will just call that greeting. Fine. So it says props is missing, right? Props has any type. It's okay. I mean, for now we're not defining the type, right? But what is props now? Props is nothing but a object. This props is object, right? How we know that? Let's console log that props. Console.log props. So here what we say, right? We say props.name. So that means props must be something like this. Props is an object, like a very property, right? It's a property parameter. Remember that, and it has a value, something like object called name. And now you can pass something. Let's call it dev, right? The props is something like this. So that's why we say props.name. Then you're gonna get this, right? But how props receive value? Here, attribute, create name attribute equal to dev. That's it. If you remember this, so you're good to go, right? Now this is a type checking problem, right? Because we said, okay, you are giving me some data because this is an object, but we don't know what is that object, right? So here you can just define, like, this is the name, and that is string, right? So we know how to take care of TypeScript, okay? Or you can even define something here, call it interface, okay? And let's call it props, right? And that will be basically object with name, and that is string. Okay, now you're going to use that props. Same thing, right? Same thing. Basically we put this object before here in place of this. Okay, so type checking done. So props is the data, right? You're going to pass in the component. That's it. All right, I hope everyone understand, right? Most of the time you will see not writing like this, but you will see something like this. So we are getting name, right, like that, but still we have problem with our object, so we call that props. Let's see. Okay, it's giving. Okay, now it will be not work, because see, these things change here, right? It's changed. So what we're gonna do is we have to write now here, name is string. Why? It's okay, because that is the reason, right? Sorry guys, that was something different error, because we are not using this props now, right? So here you don't need this props.name, you just call that and done, So this is called destructure, correct? If you have an object, right, the object is props, always it will be props. Remember that it will be always, when you pass something like this, right? If you pass many things, let's say age also you pass 40, right? How it will store all that? So we are not receiving this age here, we have not defined yet, right? So you have to put here age is number, right? You have to define that, and you want to use that, so just call it age. And something is not correct, so greeting, what is saying? Why is complaining? Parsing error, right? Something happened. Okay, anyway, we'll check. So let's see, something is not correct. Greeting, what the age property is missing type. Yeah, because of this now, right? I have added here, so let's remove that and gone. But something was not correct earlier, right? Maybe I did not update everywhere same time. But anyway, just remember whatever value you add here, right? Let's try again. Age equal to 40, and then we have to define here also age, that will be put in number, 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 right? And then you have to destructure it here, age, right? And then you want to use that, right? So age is just simply age, right? So how you insert the variable now? Just calling like that. Okay, so everywhere it matches, but here is saying the parsing a JSX element expected ESLint type boolean, right, is not assignable to type number. Okay, where is the boolean? String, because we define the age here. No, something, save that. Something is not correct. There's something to do with the formatting completed. It should be okay. I don't know why it's giving error. This TypeScript error. Curly bracket. Name is, we have these two. Looks fine. Yeah, okay guys, I don't know why it's giving error, right? But for now, let's remove this one. Let's not worry. So this will have true value, right? Because of the object. Okay, these things creates the object, and that is called props. Always remember that. That is just simply called props, right? Props. This is the name of that object. Okay, props, right? And then you can use that by calling props.name on props.age, right? props.age. Okay, that's how you use that. Okay, and if there is TypeScript, of course you have to define the interface. You can define it here or outside, right, like that. So this one I have no idea. Let's see, there is error. greeting, there is name and age, right? Okay, this will be, I don't know why. Let's delete that for now. No need. Save, and it's gone, right? So we understand props. Props is nothing but the attribute where you pass the value that will become the object, props object key, right? And this will be the value. The object name is props. That's what we call object dot name. Please set in your mind, okay, this thing, right? And then finally, what is the next? There is two more things, right? State, okay? What is state now? State is a variable, right? So for example, how React, in the React, right, we don't create a variable like this. Let is equal to 40. We don't do that, right? If you store variable like this, later, right, somehow in the program, you change this. You want to display this, let's say you want to display this age here, right? For example, let's put it age. Fine. This the is an age is never reassigned, right? What is that? Why I'm getting so many? Okay, fine. Let's call this number. So you can see there is a 40 now, right? You can see the 40. But let's say somehow you change this one. First time when the page load, it's okay, it will display that 40, right? But within the program, you have a button, click that button, this value change. How you gonna render that? It's not gonna work, okay? This is a variable, but it will not handle the updates, right, inside your UI. So that's why there is a concept called state. State is nothing but a variable, right? So to handle the state, React give us the hook function called use state, okay? How it work, right? I will just remember, state is nothing but a variable, right? State is the place where we store the data. That is all you have to remember for now. State is a built-in object that stores property and value, right? That belongs to the component. So built-in object that stores property value that belongs to the component, right? So let's say, in this example, even here, right? How are we going to start using state? First, you have to import that. Import. We're going to talk about the hooks again in the future. We're gonna learn all the important hooks, right? There are so many hooks. We just call use state, right, to manage our state. Okay, simple hooks. This is the function, right? Hooks are basically the function. Okay, just remember that. The next is how you're gonna execute this function, right? Inside, before return, right? Before, right? This return always. Here you just run this function, right? For example, okay, let's console log this, console.log, right? And then use state like this and see what we get back. Okay, because you want to see what, when you run this function, right, what we getting back. So okay, so always true. There is something not correct, right? Let me delete. We don't have this age anymore. It will complain. Save, and everything working, right? So always true. I don't know what is all this. Interface parsing TypeScript, ignore false. Okay, let's check. It should display here, right? I don't know why. Let's go to the console here. Okay, now, yeah, fine. We see here now, right? So it didn't display in the terminal. You can see in the browser. So by running this function use state, what we see is array, right? Understand that one, okay? Array. array has two things: 0, the index 0, that is undefined, and index 1 is a function. Look at this. Index 0, right, is undefined right now. There is something, but it's undefined. Okay, the value is undefined, right? And that's the function. Second one is function, right? So that means this array, this is an array, right? So I can destructure that. I can write it like this: the array destructure, right? Use state. This function returns array. So I just destructure and get two values. So I will call it count, and the second one is function set count. See, we have that, right? Now if you just console log count, what we're gonna get? You get undefined, right? There is an error. What is all this error? So it says cannot find. It's saying count cannot find count. It's okay. So basically it has no it has no data yet, right? So let's say one thing. First, for now I'll just give it some initial value, right? Maybe the count is 0 for now. You can pass initial value, save this. Still we getting something here. I don't know why I'm getting all this error. Maybe count is not defined. Oh, sorry guys, remember these are the what, like you have to tell it, right? Const, can I do that? Const, now it should be like this. Okay, so now we have count, right? And then you're gonna get the value. We can see the 0 here. Okay, so whatever you pass, right, initial value, I pass object name colon dev, right, like that. Save. So look at this. This is the initial value you can pass to the use state that is stored in the count variable, right? And this is a function. Simple. So you can use this function, right, to change the count here. So we're going to learn about this state, right, tomorrow. But state is nothing but the value of your component, right? Whatever component, this component is using some data. Where you going to store that data, right? Because components are individual piece of code. Okay, they have, we always try to keep things together with one component. So it has its own states, are all variables. It has its own props, right? You passing the data from the props. Things stay within that component. We're not like, if this component is a header, right, you don't link this data with other places. Okay, you separate all information within that component. So for that, you have a lot of function like this you're going to use in the future, right, to manage all that. Okay, for now, state is simply the data of that component, but how we manage that data, right, in this way. I mean, here now, right, I go back and just call the count, simple like that. Okay, count, right, what is saying? Type object is not assignable to type React node. Okay. We cannot directly insert here, right, object. But let's say for now I'll just put the like one value, right, like 10. Okay, and now you see in the page here, right, see that 10. So if you change, let's say 20, right, see it just changed that 20, that's it. If you change here 30, the variable, see it update now. Look at this. That is the important, right? It just update in our UI. Okay, so what we're gonna do now, right, let's see, we understand the state is nothing but the data, right, for that component. How we manage, we're gonna learn that in the future, right? Simple enough. So that is the hooks, right, to handle all additional work. Like React introduce hooks to allow the state to allow state and the other React features to be used in the functional component. See that? Use state is also hook. Always start with a use, right? And something that is a hook, that is a function in the React, and that function or hook function is allowed for state management and the React other features, right, in the functional component. So most commonly use hook or use state, use effect, and all that. So yeah, so fine, that is all for today, right? What we're gonna do is tomorrow we're gonna most likely I think we're gonna complete the hooks. Oh, okay, let's do one thing. Let's learn first the routing, right? Routing, how you're gonna create the link, right? Like let's say this is the nav bar with different links to click and go in different page. So we're gonna work on the routing, that is one important, and the next will be hooks. And after that, we're gonna look at the state management, right? Okay, so we're gonna look at maybe, I think not Redux, I think the other one we're gonna look at state management. Okay, there are many state management library, right? Like Redux and what are the other one? There are 7 top, but the Redux, Recoil, Justand, so yeah, we're gonna look at Recoil, right? Yeah, that will be I think better. Redux is also good, but this will be much more easy to use, right? I believe. Okay, I have not used a lot. One time I used, that is all. We'll check that. So this is just the state management. Okay, state is what? The data, right? How you gonna handle your data? The website becomes with many different pages, right? So let's say you have the shopping cart. There will be adding products. That is data. So how we manage all that, right? So we need some library like this, Redux or maybe Recoil, to handle all that data, because it has to remember. We keep adding some data in the cart. You keep removing. How they remember the whole totals of the cart and all that, right? How you increase, how you decrease, that kind of things. Because when you add to the cart, you don't want to refresh your page. You don't want to lose the history, right? Until you complete the shopping or until you just quit the page, So that is called state, the data management, state management. That we're going to use this library, one of the library. Okay, guys, I will stop here for today.